there are people who just follow people. I tell you, don't follow Joshua. Because Joshua, there are parts of Joshua that are not for you. So don't just follow Joshua blindly. Find out what is it about Joshua that you like. Lean into that. The other parts, because they'll do something and then you say, I was so disappointed in Pumla.
There it is.
Aren't you disappointed? How can you be disappointed in me? It's because you leaned into the side that was not for you. I'm the one who used to call my friends in Akamwesi. You guys, can you get on the nearest border and come and do this test? It's taking 10%. And I'll be the one, because they hadn't read the Waswangova. Now I had to start learning how to write big letters so that people would copy from me in class. You don't have to be just the one thing.
Yeah.
You can live your life out loud and do you and just be you and share in your experiences and just give people a laugh. Not every time have
Yes,
impact.
not always serious.
Not always serious.
Yeah.
This creative part of me started when my son grew older. And the first time I think this really blossomed, I used to write a lot on social media. So that's where my creativity used to come out. I used to write stories on social media. People used to follow me, Facebook at the time. And my parents were very academic oriented.
So that was your pushback.
To go for coaching, I wanted to get out of the house. Yeah.
Wow.
I literally would fail.
On purpose.
On purpose. In my home, I was brought up in a home where we were allowed to ask, and that's where I think I get my confidence and esteem from. We literally were allowed to question. We were not a typical African household where no, children are not listened to.
Yes.
No, we were actually encouraged to speak up, to express ourselves. But at the end of the day, we had to understand that there was still hierarchy in the home.
Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us for these conversations on Crystal One-on-One. We are at Sheraton Kampala Hotel. We've been getting quite a bit of rain over the last few weeks or last few days. But today we are at La Terrace, which is a beautiful terraced garden right behind the Paradise restaurant. Come by in the evening. They make sure it's warm, it's cozy. You can have your cup of tea. You can have something stronger if you want. And don't forget that Sunday brunch happens at midday every Sunday for the most variety you'll find anywhere. Absolutely fantastic. Now today I have the team lead economist at Bank of Uganda. I'm starting with that because she said the last time we talked, I'm an economist first. I'm like, okay. But you know her well from social media, from the show Bump Love that she did back in the day. But now she has two other podcasts. There's PPJ, and I love that her personality truly comes out. And then she also does a podcast for Bank of Uganda. I have Pumla Nabachwa joining me today. Hello, my dear.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited.
You are.
Because the last time we talked, I'm like,
yeah.
we didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
How's
now
it going?
This is you.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. How's it going?
It's all right. I've been a bit low energy this week. I'm not sure why. Yeah.
Do you think it might be the weather?
I think it's the cycle, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the female cycle. I think.
Do you
it's
keep
just-
track?
I do.
I watch
but I
all
haven't
these-
checked.
You
That's the
haven't
thing.
checked.
Like, I've reached a point where I now kind of know, but I'm not. So I align and I prepare. But now I just feel it's out of sync, and I don't know why. Maybe I know why.
There might be something more there.
Maybe I know why. I think it's change of environment. And maybe as we talk, this will come to light. I have, as you know, I was doing some reconstruction and remodeling.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was living at
So
my
I
partner's for
enjoyed
like 2
that
months.
journey.
Yeah. And now I left. So I think, and when you change environment, sometimes there's your cycle kind of goes out of sync.
Okay.
So I think there's a transition that's happening that I'm not really ready to to reflect on. So usually when I have a change in mood, like I literally go to my cycle app, my calendar,
And you
look
check.
through, I check, is it consistent? If it is, I'm always like, okay, Pumla, breathe in, breathe out, it's fine. Yeah, it's all right. So I watch, I monitor myself, like I watch myself. But now I've not even bothered to check. I'm just
That's
like,
really good. I think most women don't even have a clue. They're like, yeah, they know that
Yeah.
it's coming, but they don't think about or how it really affects you.
me, and every time I give talks, and now I'm here, I'm telling Christos people, every woman over the age of 30, I
You
tell
should-
you, I swear to you, you must have an app next to what the most famous one people like, next to Instagram or Twitter or whatever you like on your app, you must have a period calendar.
Yes, yes.
Because, and it's both for you and the people that you surround yourself with.
Because those days just
I
before
tell
you can become a monster.
I tell you, and you guess the person who gets hit the most is the ones you surround yourself,
Yes.
the ones you love.
Yes.
So sometimes you've got to watch yourself. You know, Crystal, someone can tell you something today, like, oh, your hair looks a little wavy today. And they said the exact same thing next week and you blow up. And you don't know why you're blowing up. Yeah, so for me, it's really, really helped me. Like, especially when you work in communities and societies with different people, it has really, really helped me, like, catch myself. Like,
that's
Pumla, why
really
are you,
important.
why are you feeling,
Yeah, why are you triggered?
yeah, why are you triggered?
It's not that big
It
a
wasn't
deal.
that big a deal. Was it really that big a deal? Because sometimes it is a big deal, but I first check, oh, is it,
No, you're absolutely
then I'm
right.
like,
because normally the day before my period or 2
Yeah.
days before, I wake up in the morning and I literally just want
Yeah.
to cry. I just feel like I want to cry. I know the men are probably thinking, what? But I'm just like, so sometimes I'll watch like a movie, a
Yeah.
sad movie or something just to
get it out.
Then I feel better.
to get it out. Yeah.
We're emotional beings.
We are emotional
We are.
beings. We are.
Yeah.
Some more than others.
True. True. It's so
Yeah, but I'm so
interesting
happy to
that we
be
can
here.
talk about these things openly.
Yeah, we should. We should.
These days.
These days. Yeah, and also because I've realized that a lot of social media now is being watched, like much as we are women in our 40s and over,
Yeah.
a lot of this content is watched by 20-year-olds and younger, under 30s. And I wish that I could have had some of this information before,
Yeah.
you know? And people like, and I do agree that this is theory. And some of these things, experiences must be lived
True.
for you to really fully understand them. But I feel like if you experience with a backing of some theory, it makes it easier just to
Yeah.
navigate life. Like, I plowed through the trenches. Why do you have to? Yet I'm here to tell you, don't tell you how to navigate better,
Yeah.
but to help you of how I did, because
Yeah.
my way might not work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the
my
thing.
way
We're
might
all
not work for-
different.
We're all different, and we have different
But
personal
I
journeys.
feel like we pick a little
You
from
pick, you must
everyone,
pick.
everywhere.
Everybody's a tree, but there are branches, there are leaves that you can pick from different. If you pick someone and it's like, let it go, drop it. But if you can land on a branch
Yeah.
that is for you, and you're like, oh my God, thank goodness.
That connects
yeah,
with
it
you.
connects with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for having Crystal. Anytime for you, anytime.
Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking about our last conversation, and
Yeah.
you were saying that as a teenager, that there was drama. There were ups and downs at home. There were suspensions. Did you say there was an expulsion in there?
The problem is now my position in society. When these things start coming out.
No, but that's because I think your personality was.
There was a suspension, there was an expulsion, but the expulsion was I commuted.
Oh.
So luckily the expulsion came towards my unit Cantab S6.
Okay.
So we had already registered, and you know, they are by law, you're required
you
to,
have to
the
sit.
children have to sit where they are registered. So yeah, I commuted.
Looking back, you're like timing. I was lucky there.
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank goodness.
What was the issue? Was it? Is it authority?
They said I led a
pushing-
strike, so I really have a problem with authority.
Okay.
Which I've worked on as I've
'cause
grown
now
older.
You navigated.
Yeah, I've had to, because of the places I have chosen to put myself. There is a kind of authority here and there. I work with the central bank. I mean, that already a regulator is authoritative. So if
And
I
there's
have
a
an
lot of
issue,
structure.
there's a lot of structure. And me, I just wanted to live my life. I've just always been that way. Yeah, I think second born. They usually say that second borns are the more rebellious children.
Yes.
So I had a real rebellious nature.
Uh-huh.
And Crystal, I wasn't even doing anything really wrong. I just also grew up in a very strict household.
Okay.
My parents were really strict, and my siblings. So I feel like this is what the difference was. My parents were really strict, and their rules followers as people, both of them. And then the people who I am a second born, so the first born, third born, were also kind of rule followers. So now I'm here, and they don't know what to do with me. Like the rest of the children seem to be going according to what we are saying.
Yes.
Yeah, whether they liked it or not. But me, I was always, I'm
Was it you'd ask
questioning.
questions? Yes, okay.
So in my home, I was brought up in a home where we were allowed to ask, and that's where I think I get my confidence and esteem from. We literally were allowed to
Okay.
question.
That's
We were not a
beautiful.
typical African household where like, no, children are not listened to.
Yes.
No, we were actually encouraged to speak up,
up.
to express ourselves. But at the end of the day, we had to understand that there was still hierarchy in the home.
Yes.
That you're still a child. Yeah.
When
And
you
the
become an
authority
adult,
is-
it's fine.
Yeah, when you become an adult, do you. But my rules, my house, my rules. Yeah. So even if we're allowed to question, find out what if you felt something was not, you were not in line with something, you were allowed to say so and have the adult would explain to you. My parents would
Okay.
always explain.
Yes.
The problem came in action.
Ah.
I have explained to you. Now you've understood. Now what are you still doing? Mine was like easy things like, and I feel like children these days maybe now have it easier. A small thing like, okay, I've got out of my bed. Let me first go and brush. The structure in the home is get out of the bed,
make the bed.
I'm like, can't I just first stretch a bit, go around, then
Do
I'll
things
come
in your
back.
own
In
time,
my
your
own
own
time.
way?
Why are you forcing me to lay the bed now? Make it make sense.
Yeah.
Then you explain.
Because you're still going to lay
No.
the bed.
The bed is going to be laid. Okay, give me a time frame. Tell
Uh-huh.
me, Pumla, let's meet each other halfway. Tell me within an hour of waking up. Why does it always have to be immediately
Yeah.
that I
yeah.
wake up? And
And knowing what we know now, you're actually supposed to air your bed. You're supposed to
if anything,
leave
now
it.
you're supposed to first open the bed, leave it to air it, and then come back and cover later. So this is what I want to do. I want to hang out with my friends. I had my teenage years were so notoriously rebellious. Let me tell you, so much so that I look back, and if there was proof that God watches over his children, it was in those years.
Oh.
Because I swear to you, there are things I did.
And you look back and you're like, what the
And
hell
I'm like,
was
how
I
did I
thinking?
survive? Anything could have happened to me. Anything. I remember, and me, I think it's just I wanted to. Let me tell you one of the things that I realized that, Pumla, you're not okay in the head. I literally had started tanking my performance because my parents didn't allow me out of the house. And my parents were very academic oriented.
So that was your pushback.
To go for coaching, I wanted to get out of the house. Yeah.
Wow.
I literally would fail
On purpose.
on purpose. So that, and I would know the subjects that I needed to do worse in. I would never fail. Me, I was just above average student.
So you just needed extra help.
I would look for subjects where I know these Budonians and Smarks go for maths and go for physics. Hey. So to be in their classes, if I know that in this subject I'm going to get 80%, I just get there like 70. 70. I know my potential,
Yes.
but I'm going to get below it so that my parents can keep taking me for coaching. And indeed, like after coaching them, so I would now start going back up, getting better when I say things are good. Now I'm getting the 80s, then they're saying, now you don't need coaching anymore. Yeah,
Then you're like, first
I'm
hold on.
like, excuse me. Now you're punishing me for doing well in class. For me, it was a punishment because we're not allowed to do anything. We're only allowed to go to church. And I was like, why? I'm a teenager. Why am I only allowed to go to church? And then even church, I never even used to want to go to church. I would go to church to do other things.
Yes.
I'll go to church and then disappear. With the people who had gone to deviate, I go to deviate.
Oh, deviate days.
I come back on time to be picked up or to take the taxi or to go home. Like I wasn't doing anything wrong. Nothing. I
Per
didn't have
se.
a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take drugs. I didn't indulge in alcohol. I didn't nothing. I had my first kiss in university.
And the funny
But I was
thing,
out of the house the whole of my teenage
the
years.
funny thing is, most people think that the children who are most rebellious and social
Yeah.
are the ones who are most sexually active. And generally, it's the opposite.
The quiet ones. Those quiet people are the ones who bring for you stomachs. That
We
they
know
are
this. We
pregnant.
remember our
Yes,
friends.
We remember our friends. We had those
The quiet
friends, the
ones.
quiet ones, who you don't know what's going on in their heads. You'd rather encourage, like I told, encourage people to talk. Even now, as I'm raising my son is 16, and I will see that. And you know that funny thing is that we dial back to the way we were parented.
Yeah.
Because even my son, there are things he'll want, and I'm saying, no, Teja, you can't go.
Let me tell you,
But immediately
that's
I'm
what
like,
we learned. That's what we learned. That's the model that we all just model what our parents. Unless,
Yeah.
okay, maybe there are extremes where you're like, no, this wasn't right and this wasn't
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
and
for
you
sure.
think you're doing a much better job until the words come out of your mouth and you're like, that is my mother. What
Yeah.
just happened?
My son sat on a bed one time. He was going to rugby club. And he just wanted to go and be with his boys. He
Yeah.
plays rugby.
Yeah. Okay.
But this was the adult season. Like they have both schools, the seasons for the younger, the junior kids, and the under 20s, under 16, under 14.
Okay.
And then they have the senior teams, the adults, like the ones
Yes,
Cobs,
the ones that
Pirates,
people go
the ones
for.
people go for. So he said, I'd like to go. And he's been going there for training for his age category.
Yeah.
Until one time he said, there's a final at rugby club. I would like to go with my friends. And I said, but they drink alcohol there. People do drugs. People, what are you going to do? Those are adults. Then I remembered, but Pumla, over 20 years ago, when you were his age, I used to go to rugby club. I used to escape from coaching to go to rugby club. Let me add you another one. Now, when I would go for coaching, I would make sure I go for 3 subjects. I would only
the
attend
whole
2.
morning until there.
I would only attend 2
And the last one
because
is for
I
your
needed
things.
pocket money.
Okay.
So they'd give me the money to pay for my coaching. I would pay for math, physics, and pocket. Because I needed transport and soda money for my outings, for my other activities. So chemistry, I would never see me, never see my money. So I'd go to rugby club. But imagine, my parents had no clue where I was, what I was doing, who I was with.
You were watched over.
If there is a time, I tell you, that someone can tell me that there is a God and God watches over you. It's not us. Us, we are just guardians
Yes.
of God's children. They are not ours. We just brought them into this world and now we are just guiding and guarding and
Thank you.
protecting. Just in this physical
And
realm.
trying to do our best.
We are just trying to do our best. But they have a father. Because the things I did. Do you know that I was even vibed by a taxi driver at the age of 14.
Really?
Yeah, because I used to come back about the same time. And this taxi driver, he would come and make me sit in front.
Oh.
So I was a teenager. And I'm a man.
When you look back now, you're like,
when I look
really?
back,
It's
I'm like,
problematic.
what was happening? But I would come back, have my things in the bag. I think he would see me because now I'd have to change my clothes. The clothes I would go in and other ones that I would come back in. Sometimes I would be I would sit at the back of the taxi. So by the time we reach, I've already changed. Then he started vibing me. I think it's longer this year. Let me vibe her. He would wait for me sometimes at the stage for me to enter. And I wouldn't pay. So I'm sitting in front.
That's grooming, eh? Now we understand that is grooming. But he saw an opportunity. He saw the
an
gap.
opportunity. And anything could have happened. But me, I wasn't interested. That wasn't the life.
You were just like, la la
I
la.
was just living happy and happy not to pay. Still, of course, at a point I was like, this might get me in more trouble than I need to.
You know, they say free
Actually,
things
it's one time where he said,
expensive.
no, not Nyaba, I was a child. I don't even know what he used to call him. He said, let's move because my stage was here where I would have to get off from Perere.
Yes.
So one time the taxi was empty and he told me, let's just move to get other people so that we can spend more time together. Taxi man.
Oh dear.
I'm 14, 15
As
years
a
old.
mother of girls, my heart
I'm
is just going
15
boom,
years
boom, boom.
old. Then we'll go and just reach the next car stage out. then we come back, then I can drop you back home. That's the day I said, this free thing here, let me first release it.
And probably your instincts were also screaming
Yeah,
at
I was
you.
like, oh, what is
This
this?
is off.
Yeah, and of course at that time it wasn't the issue of you're an adult, you're a big man, I'm a child. It was just that, why are you vibing me? I'm not interested. But when I look back, I'm like, why was that man vibing a child?
A child.
Like what? I had nothing developed even. I had no boobs, I had no hips. I was just there. I was so skinny. I was so disgusted. Actually, that time I thought, I was like, what the hell? But back to what I was saying, like when my son came to me and he asked me, I kept saying, Kale, I wanted this life. And I wanted my parents to know where I was
Yes.
and who I was with. I wanted to be safe. And because of my teenage hormones, I was just living for the adrenaline. I had no consciousness of safety. I didn't care. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So when my son kept asking me that, but I'm just going to be with my friends. Don't you trust me? And then they start saying, and you say, it's not even about don't you trust me. He said, and that's where he got me. You know, kids can be really manipulative. He said, don't you trust in the way you raised me?
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But why are you questioning the way you brought me?
Oh, your son is smart.
He
knows his mommy.
He knew where to. And to be honest, I thought back and I said, he wants to do, and I said, Pumla, what did you do? What did you do that was so bad there? Maybe if I had found myself in a whole lot of mess,
Yes.
I would have been trying to be overprotective
Yes.
of what I know he can do. And I'll tell you, we used to hang out with guys who were doing those things. It's not like I was so protected.
Yes.
I just made a choice because I always
like, "No, I'm not
had
going to
my
do that."
parents in my
In the
head,
back
in
of
the
your-
back of my head. My parents instilled in me, they were strict, but I always had them.
All the
So
things that you keep saying,
that's so.
those conversations are important. The conversations you have are still there. Because I
Yeah.
see that with my kids now. Things I said years ago, they come back to me and they say the same things. Their observations are the things I was like, look out for this, look out for that. So that's a good thing that you still had that.
It always stayed. It reigned supreme, always, regardless of what I did. So I decided, you know what, Pumla? This is an opportunity. Now you're building a relationship with this boy, with this child. Because for me, I think I shared with you earlier, I didn't talk to my mother for years.
Oh, yeah.
For years, I stopped talking to my mother really normally from like from S3, S4 there. I just
Were you
stopped.
angry?
I was always angry. I was just angry.
Yes.
I thought they hated me. When you want to do something, I was like, I even wanted to ask, am I adopted? I wanted to start doing some research.
Yes.
And maybe I'm
And probably
adopted.
you felt like you
These
were
guys
always
don't-
doing
they really
something
hate me.
wrong.
I was always doing something wrong. I felt like it didn't matter what I did. It was always wrong, and I was told it was wrong, especially in a family of rules followers.
Yeah.
Them, they were always doing things correct. Yeah. Their
Yes.
grades were always up. They were doing things that they were supposed to be doing. They told
were
them A,
good
they go A.
children.
They were good children. For me, I was just right there.
But thank you for sharing this, because
hell?
what you said about second borns, I saw it with my sister.
Yeah.
I've seen it with my second born as well. Just constantly pushing the boundaries. And we need to remember that these are some of the strengths that will help them later in life.
True.
Because we thrive wherever we're placed in life.
Yeah.
We thrive based on certain things that are integral to our character.
Yes.
So for you, you've been very driven.
Yeah.
You follow what you want.
Yeah.
And now we see that it has paid off. Right?
Now we see that it has paid off. Yeah. I remember when I graduated, and I always expected to see like a relief, like with my parents, like thank goodness, because I could have been that child.
Yeah.
And then I think I asked my mom about it, and I said, hey, but mom, I feel like this was just a natural process for you. Like, aren't you shocked that I not only graduated, but graduated with honors? Like, I've done really, really well. She said, no, I was never worried about you. I knew you would get to where you want to get to. The problem was the how. The how. You did this zigzag, 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 zigzag. So my job, I knew you'd eventually get there. My job was to keep the zigzag as minimal, as less volatile as possible, as stable as possible. That was my job.
Yes.
Nothing else. And she always told us that thing of, me, I gave my children to God. I just had you.
Yeah.
But my responsibility was just to make sure you were fed, that you were educated, that you were respectable, that you grew up as good children
Good
of
human
integrity,
beings.
good human beings in society, to be well placed. That was my job.
Yeah.
But everything else, I couldn't watch it 24/7.
That is true.
So now I've now chosen
And
to
these are the things you
intentionally-
remember with your son, right?
with my son. I remember everything. But luckily, my son is not really my personality. My son lives predominantly with me, but his nature is of his dad. So mine, I can just see the nature coming, but he's predominantly his dad. So his personality is not as he doesn't have that rebellious nature. He has that firstborn character of he's more gentle. He's more I'm fire. He's more ice.
Yes.
He's more chilled.
Yes, yes.
More composed. So I'm always like, oh, thank God.
Uh-huh.
Because I could never raise myself. I could have
You would
never
probably.
raised myself.
But the worst part is, if you had to raise yourself, you would probably have been the exact same parent.
I would have been the exact same
that
parent
you
that
had
my
in your
mother.
mom.
Yeah, I am sure of that. I would not talk for 10 years because I've seen that generational cycle continue in many homes.
Yeah.
I see it continue.
No, it's important.
what
I think
makes me
it's so
different?
important to say this because children are not the same.
They're not the same.
Children are not the same.
They're not the
and then
same.
we try to do the same thing, and we're like, why is it not working? Because with the
Children are
firstborn,
not the
they are
same.
like, okay, mommy, okay,
Yeah.
daddy. Then the secondborn is why?
Why?
I don't understand.
And you have to explain. You have to make it make sense. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. Yeah. So my son now reasons with me, and I let it. I think through it. I'm like, okay, maybe let's reach a compromise.
Yeah.
It's fine. You can go to rugby club. What time do your friends leave? Give me numbers. I need at least 2 phone numbers of the people who you're going to be there with.
Yeah.
And I need evidence that you're there with them. So even sends me pictures. Make sure that he's there with those people.
Oh God,
Sends
we're
me
the
numbers
same
in
as
case
mothers.
in case your phone blacks out, I want their numbers. So I have all his friends now.
Yeah.
I have, if I show you my phone, I have Geo Teja, Shoti Teja. I have like 20
That's
names
important.
with Teja at the end of them. So
Now
I
you
know
see-
his friends. I know who he hangs out with. And so we reached that compromise. Says, they usually leave later. I'm like, no, Teja. You
So
need to
that's
be
the
here by a
difference. The
certain
difference is
time.
you can go, but I just need to know where you are.
I need to know where you
I
are.
think
need
that's
to
the
know
most
who you're
important
with,
thing.
and I need to know that we need to agree on what time you're going to get back home.
Yeah.
And if you're not back at that time, because I allow him to use Uber, so he moves as I'm like I can't do. And at that age, they don't want their mothers picking them up,
No. Especially the
dropping
young
them.
men.
especially the young men. Girls, I think, are all right.
Those are
I don't
okay.
think so much for boys. So I just let him, and yeah, you can never know if you're doing the right thing right now. It comes later. You see it
I think
later.
if your child is willing to sit down and talk to you and have a
Yeah.
conversation with you, then I think you're doing something right.
I'm sure there's something right in what I'm sure there's something right, but I'm not yet ready to mark. The exam is still going on. We're
Yes.
still in continuous assessment. Continuous assessment. Watch and hope for the best, because that's all I can do. I can only do
True.
my best with the information I have. Nothing more.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So all those turbulent years, you playing with your grades so that you go for coaching, and then you said you graduated with honors. Was there ever a question about what you were going to do? Because I feel this creative side of you, the talker,
Yeah.
needed to come out, right?
Yeah.
Who we see in the podcasts
Yeah.
needed to come out. But I'm sure professionally,
Yeah.
like you said, you had to learn how to navigate. Was there ever
Yeah.
a question about you being an economist?
Before. So, two things. I wanted to be a dancer,
Okay.
and then my parents refused me to go to Namasagali, so I just killed the dream.
Oh.
Yeah. So I said, my parents, they had our lives set out for us, the path. They knew what they wanted for us, and you were not going to deviate from their plan. So there were two things. One, I used to swim on the Uganda national team. So I wanted to be either an athlete or a dancer.
Okay.
My mom used to take us to watch these Namasagali shows. There used to be those shows at the National Theatre, I feel, and they were so beautiful.
Yeah.
I used to look at these people dancing, and I'm like, and there was a time when they would do, I think Gayaza would go Namagunga and Namasagali, but I would look at Namasagali.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, their costumes, their lighting, you could really see drama. So I always said, I told my mom, like right from when I was in primary 5, I told her, I would really, really like to go to Namasagali.
Okay.
And she said, okay, we'll talk about it. I want to be a dancer. I want to be on stage. I knew that I was meant to be seen.
Yeah.
I always knew that I was never supposed to be behind the camera, behind the scenes. I was the scene. I needed that one without a doubt.
Yeah.
I knew was going to happen. When my parents led me on into doing really well, of course, now when it came to applying for schools, my dad told me, Nabachwa, whether what or what, you have only 2 choices: King's College Budo or Gayaza High School or Namagunga. But you already told us you don't want to go to Namagunga.
So it's these two.
Pick one. There's no Namasagali. I don't know what you're looking for, but it's not there.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a fight, here. And I realized I have no choice in this matter. So as soon as that happened, it killed my stage dream. That one I was like,
it's not going to happen.
Swimming, I knew I could continue until my S3. So much so, by the way, and this is why I'll tell you that my parents were strict, and they had a vision. I went to Gayaza High School, which was boarding, but for the whole of my end of S2 and my S3, I went out of school every Saturday to train, to swim. So while they were strict, for them, they allowed us to explore our dreams for as long as our dreams were in line with theirs.
Yes, with their vision.
With their vision. So my dad had always said that. So I was really good at tennis, and we used to go to Kampala Club to train and swimming. So I was like, so my goal was, I'm going to be a professional swimmer. But I know my parents need me to have an education. We'll do O-level. And then because we already had coaches, there were people from outside countries who would come and see me swim and want to register me, to take me on.
So you saw this as a way
So me, I was like, I'm leaving this country even. Yeah. Let me study, let me do what I need to do. When I finished my S4, a scout from South Africa came and asked my dad, came and talked to my parents and said, we would like to take this girl away to give an opportunity, because I used to travel, but East Africa, to swim.
Yeah.
And you would see these people, they're like, this girl only trains 1 day in the week. These people train every day, they wake up to swim. Either you take her to an international school, which my parents couldn't afford, we were 5, and remember, the international schools of those days are not like the ones of these days.
No, now we have options.
Now we have options. Those days, the Lincolns, which money are you stealing to pay Lincoln school fees? When that scout came and my dad said, no, this girl has to study first. Immediately, the swimming dream died. Because that was my goal. When I heard it from my dad's mouth, that I was not going to go anywhere until I completed my degree here in Uganda.
But this also explains why you were angry.
Sometimes
we don't know why our children are so angry, but
can I see these people setting me up for things which are not even there,
holding me
back. So I killed that dream. I realized, then I decided, okay, what other option do I have? I never liked school. That one I'll say from the word go. I have never liked school. I only started liking school in my undergrad, in university.
Yes.
For 2 reasons. 1, because I could do what I wanted. University,
you owned your own time.
I owned my own time. And 2, I picked the subject that I wanted. So when I did my O-levels, I did commerce in O-level, and in my A-level, I did economics.
Yes.
Those are the only subjects in the world that I actually enjoyed.
Really?
Yeah. When I realized that my parents are setting me up for an academic path, I must find an interest in something. So when I picked commerce in S3, I was used to top my class, and I really, really enjoyed the subject.
Okay.
It came naturally to me. And then when I decided to do economics, I did MEG, economics in A-level. I was like, what is this? You mean there is an actual something I can actually like and do really, really well? It's at that point, there was no question in my mind. There was no question in my mind that I was going to be an economist. I knew it automatically. And I always knew also that I wanted to be at a macro economy level because there's economists I didn't want to work at a micro level.
Okay.
There's banks and financial sector at this micro. I wanted to be at a regulatory level. Again,
And you knew this way back then?
Way back.
Okay.
I knew, even then I said, even if I'm entering now behind the scene, I still must be above the scene. Like, I'm not made for small things. I'm not. I'll always be, in my head, it was either Central Bank, or World Bank, or IMF. I knew that even then. Because I was like, now what's my career path? What can I do? I used to find out information. My mom used to, again, because my parents were still progressive.
Yes.
When you found an interest in something, they would surround you with people who have gone through those paths and give you. I remember I had a discussion with a deputy governor at the time. No, he wasn't the deputy governor at the time. I think he was a Dr. Louis Kasekende.
Yes.
He was a deputy governor, but at the time I spoke to him, he was not.
Yes.
I think he was an economist in the bank.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think I had a discussion with him, and he's explaining to me all these things and where I can go, my potential. I was like, I must work in the central bank.
Oh, wow.
That one I knew right from.
So there was no confusion. Maybe this,
there was no
maybe
confusion.
That.
And now there was nothing anybody could do because it was in line with their vision. So I just decided, Pumla, instead of being disappointed all the time, now you just choose their path. When I chose, but you see, I might have chosen what they wanted for me, but they wanted me to be a lawyer also.
Oh.
Yeah. But I think they had reached now a point of, we can compromise.
Yes.
Why are you applying for economics as a first choice? Why don't you do law? First of all, you debate like a problem. You're always arguing.
And people always think that if you are very outspoken, you hold your ground, you know, that, law is the way to go.
No. I said I don't want to live my life quarreling. Even that I knew from that time. I said I don't, and those were different. And then it means I have to stay in school for 2 more years than other people.
Yeah.
Already I don't like school. Now you're telling me
and
I have to stay for
study for the rest of your life.
Then they told me, who did I speak to? I spoke to a lawyer who told me that when you're doing law, reading doesn't end.
Yes.
I said, what?
Yes.
Me, I do a course that I'm going to read that. For the rest of my life as an adult, I'm going to be in books. I said no. So economics chose me, to be honest.
Yes.
I think this was life's way of cutting me some slack. And saying, Pumla, you want to do all these other things, but you're going to fight and not get what you want.
Yeah.
So literally, I felt it was life throwing me a bone.
Yeah.
And saying, Madam, you're going to enjoy this subject, you're going to love what you're doing, and it's going to give you perspective and tell you and show you your vision, where you're going.
Where you're going.
So yeah.
Has it done that for you?
Yeah, it has. And of course, as you
but
said, the creative side was still there.
I need to be seen, I need to be
it was still
somewhere.
It was still there. And it's only now come out in my later years.
Okay.
Because I enjoyed what I was doing. I settled. But I also knew that you don't have to be the one thing.
Yeah.
Just because you're an economist doesn't mean that you can't be other things.
Isn't that where people get stuck, though?
I think that's where people get stuck. I think that's where people get stuck. That you identify as something and then you forget that you're not just one thing. You're not just linear. There's so many parts of us. We've just chosen to focus on this one thing. We are so many different lives existing that we can be if we just chose to take those paths. We just chose one. And I think another thing that I won't say held me back. I think the one thing that made me, covered me a bit was that I had a child young. So I was forced to grow up, to be a certain way, to be a mother.
To be focused, yeah.
To be focused.
It gives you a
for a
lot
period
of
my life. It grounded me so much. So I was not allowed at that time to explore the creative side of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that time, I was just focused on stability for my child and
Yes.
security. And the only way I can offer that is by doing what I know
Yes.
that's working right now. So I stayed in that box. When my son, this creative part of me started when my son grew older. And the first time I think this really blossomed, I used to write a lot on social media. So that's where my creativity used to come out. I used to write stories on social media. People used to follow me, Facebook at that time. I used to write stories, and these are stories that people would always share and keep sharing. I was also asked to start writing for newspapers, print, which I used to once in a while. But I think the real blossoming came when I sat in front of the camera for the first time.
Okay.
My former co-host, Manuela Mulondo,
Yes.
approached me with an idea. She said, Pumla, you write so much. And there are things you write that I feel your audience is limited. I feel there are things that you say, that you pen down on paper, that a larger audience, it would impact a larger audience. So she had this idea of getting women together, parents, to speak about motherhood and their motherhood journeys and help women in the motherhood space navigate motherhood better. I really liked the idea, and I felt I think this is for me. This will work. I went in front of the camera, and that just came naturally to me. And for me, I have this thing. As I navigate in my life, I don't believe in struggles. I don't believe in that life where people say, oh, I really struggled, I did this, I had to... I don't like those stories, and I'm not that type of story.
If something is not working, you let it go?
I let it go.
Okay.
I let it go. I can recognize that there's tough steps, but I'm moving.
Yes.
When I feel that there's some harsh resistance, and I feel it internally, not externally, not the one from external. There's a resistance within myself that is not allowing me to propel or to move in the direction. I'm like water. I go in the path of easiest resistance. If I feel like there are things boulders mostly internal, inward, I take a break. Okay. I take a step back. And I'm like, this might be for me, but it's not the right time, or it is not for me. It may just not be the right time sometimes for it. And every time I do it, some of these things which I have found resistance, I have done them later, and it came easily. I always tell people it's like potty training. There is an age. There is a time when children are ready to be potty trained.
And it's different for different children.
And it's different with different children. And if you start a day early, you will see. But a time will come when the child just uses the potty much easier and much faster.
Oh, they'll go on their own, and you're like,
they'll even go on their own. Yes.
Yes.
That's how for me I lead my life. When I sat and I started to talk with these women, I was like, this is what I was born for. This is it.
Yes.
But I guess I needed some grounding. And when I also go back to my upbringing, I feel like my parents had a big role to play, that my personality is really big. And sometimes big personalities need to be guided.
Yes.
You need some guidance. And I think that's just, my whole life journey was just preparing me for that time.
Okay.
Because I've worked with creatives, and I know I'm not a creative. I'm not
That's
a creative.
an interesting thing to
It
say.
is a part of me, but it is not who I am.
Okay.
It is a part of me that I was able to nurture when I joined the Bump Love team. They allowed me to nurture it, but the guidance and structure and the grounding from everything else centered me. Creatives...
Let me hear this.
Creatives do what they want. Creatives do what they want. They rarely, and they go according to them.
Yes.
How they feel.
How they feel.
Their mood, their environment. Do you know that they can come here, it rained today, and they're like, I'm not showing up. Because I don't feel like I'm in the right space to create.
Today. Yeah.
What structure has shown me is that you show up.
Yes.
Whether
you
have to show up. If you've committed, that I've told you today, like I was really, really low energy. A creative, Crystal, would have told you, you know what? Not today.
Yeah.
Can we do this tomorrow? I have worked with creatives. I've worked with them for this period. It's now like 7 years I've worked with creatives. And I have seen the difference between my other life, the structured life, and the creative world.
Yeah.
And I would not stay here.
Yeah, true.
I would not stay in the creative world full time. That's why I believe that we come as different parts, as different facets, and you lean into the one that is at that moment working for you. So while I do have some creative bone, it is not who I am.
It's so interesting that you say that, but I hear what you mean about timing, because
Yeah.
you don't see yourself as a creative, but you are creating content.
But I'm creating content. Yeah.
To you, probably it's structured, but like
is
I told you, this
highly
journey of your renovation,
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh,
Thoroughly enjoyed it
thank
because
you.
I feel not we see maybe international models of it,
Yes, yes,
but
yes.
not so much of a Ugandan
A Ugandan.
doing her home and
Yeah.
taking us through what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because you also know a lot of women are like, I don't know.
I don't know
I
anything.
don't know that. They will tell me. The guy says you need to do this. Okay.
Okay,
You need
I'll
to
do this.
Okay. And you took the time to explain and this.
Yeah.
I loved it. But then also I see you cooking now.
Yeah.
You know, enjoying a bit of the soft girl life
Yeah.
as well. And that is all leaning into your creative.
Creative. Yeah, but you see, I find creatives think around, I create content around my life.
Yes. Yes.
I find creatives think bigger than their lives. I have found I'm not, that's not where I am. I literally create content about the life I am living now. So mine is literally,
So staying true to who you are.
I'm doing it naturally because I'm not really thinking about it. I would be doing it anyway. I'm just there's just a camera now and I'm showing you my life. I'm bringing you into my life. That's it. Nothing else has changed. There's no real creativity there.
I get it.
Either way, I was going to do the exact same thing. I'm just bringing you in because I've realized that there are people who live their lives like mine or who want to live their lives like mine, and I can help them. And you see, sometimes when you show people your life, you're giving them permission to live theirs as well.
Absolutely.
There are people who I have seen like do something and maybe I wouldn't have done it, but because they've done it, they give me permission to do it.
Yes.
It's just easier. It opens a part of my brain that is like, hey, I can. Yeah, and I've realized that if I can have people like that in my life, why am I not that for other people?
Exactly.
So just because I know that I've lived my life a little different, and I have not really struggled, but I know it could have been easier if there were more people like me. I know who I am.
That you were able to see.
That I was
and
able
learn
to
from.
see and learn from. And even that the world was able to see. You see, it's not even just about the people who are like me being given permission. It is the other people who are not the ones who fight them. For them to say,
Oh yeah, it's okay for her to be different.
Yeah, it's okay for her to be different. Because see her, look at her. She's okay, she's fine. She's a pillar in society. There's nothing wrong because people think that when you move a certain way, there's always an end result.
Yeah.
But if you show yourself as somebody I'm not a failure, I'm a success.
Yes.
And yet still see my journey. So why don't you give that person, let them. So because many of the things, our biggest barrier is society. But what will people think? How will people interpret me? That's what holds us back.
Yeah.
And if anything, that barrier is in our heads. It's here.
Yeah, it's in our mind.
Because society is going to eat chicken while they judge you. They are going to eat and they are going to drink.
Yes.
They are not going to starve. And they are going to be saying, yeah, look at that person. But they are eating.
But we also overestimate how much people are really going to care about.
Nobody cares.
Yes.
Nobody cares about you. You just do you. I tell people, as long as you're not doing anything outside the law.
Yes.
If the
You're not
Constitution
hurting
has
anybody, you're not breaking the
You're not
law.
breaking any laws. And if, of course, depending on your belief system, if the book, whether Quran or Bible, if it is in line with your beliefs, you just do what you want to do. Why are you thinking about what other people are going to say? Of course, within reason. But this life, may I say, no one could have put us here on this life to suffer or to live anything less than full lives. If you find yourself in a place and you think that God put you here to be half-baked, to be mediocre, you will be mediocre.
No, I love that you're saying that because the last time we talked, you said that for quite a while you thought
Yeah.
there was something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And I find that is one of the saddest things I've ever heard. And I feel a lot of young people feel like because they are not the way everyone else is supposed to be, or doing things according to I don't know what timelines or milestones, that there's something wrong with you. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm happy that I shed that off early, because people enter their 30s still thinking there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
People enter their 40s still thinking that they are the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet, ideally, it is just I'm an individual. I'm an individual, and I have agency over myself. I know what is right and I know what is wrong. I believe that I'm I hear people saying I'm a good person. I wouldn't call myself a good person. I am just a human being. And I have an understanding of what it means to live amongst other human beings, for us to make this society and environment and landscape that we live in friendly for all of us. I know what it means to love, and I know what it means to hurt. I know what it means to pay. I know we are emotional beings. So I know the things that would hurt me. So I will do whatever is in my power, that however way I move, I'll try not to hurt you also. But there are things that for you think are hurting you that are not hurting you. Like I remember, we've been watching the ways we had a very prominent wealthy businessman who lost his son recently.
Yes.
And somebody saying things like, I'll now see, with all that money, all that wealth, and now somebody has gone. And then people are having this problem of, you have all this wealth and you have everything, and you want to pass it down. You know, there are two schools of African thought. Of me, let me do work for myself. And eat my money. My children will also work for themselves.
Yes, they have to make their own.
They have to make their own. Then there's another one that is trying to build generational wealth.
This is for my children.
This is for my children and my grandchildren. At least let me give them an opportunity to have where to start from.
Yes.
So there is a school of thought that feels hurt by the other school of thought that thinks that you should give money to your children. What's wrong with that? So that's why I'm saying that even if I'm trying not to hurt you, I know what really, really hurts you and what doesn't. There are many of the things you think hurt you they are not hurting you. It's you who has put yourself in you've boxed yourself to believe that they do. But they don't. You're just putting on yourself extra pressure that doesn't even exist.
It's all in your head.
It's all in your head. So you get out of the box. Get out of the box. So I find
but a big part of that
I'm
is
grateful.
Acceptance of self, right?
You have to accept yourself. And when I started to accept myself, and by the way,
do you remember when that was? Did it happen gradually?
I think when I was given permission, again, and I think that's why I said the best part of my life period was university, because it was when I was allowed to do me and see if I would fail. Why I feared that I was something wrong with me was because everybody was trying to make me be a certain way. And telling me that how I was moving was mad. So stop it and do this, because if you continue on the path that you're taking, you will be a failure. You will fail in life. So it is only in the university that I said, I'm going to live my life the way I want to live. And I'm going to see if I'm not able to be bounded. If really I will fail. So I took a chance on myself in university. And when I came out and graduated with a near first class, I was like, I'm not the problem. I'm not the problem. It is these other people trying to make me be who they want me to be. But I'm okay. We can all be different. That's what makes the world. We are all different and diverse personalities. And we're okay. And is it not to say that, yes, there are wrong people and bad people and people who are moving mad? They are there. But that was not me. That's when I woke up and noticed, Pumla, you can do what you want.
You realize you're not reckless.
I'm not reckless.
It's not that you're not trustworthy.
Exactly.
It's just
I was the one calling my friends who had slept in the bars to tell them, you guys, there is a test. There is what they used to call them, what's that word? Those were tests that were not planned for. You just go to
yes,
class
and then
there's a test and it's going to take 10% of your grade. I'm the one who used to call my friends in Akamwesi, you guys, can you get on the nearest border and come and do this test? It's taking 10%. And I'll be the one, because they hadn't read the Waswangova. Now I had to start learning how to write big letters so that people would copy from me in class. So I always said, let's see, I'm still doing what I need to do, and yet also being me. Like, those two can coexist. They're not mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean that if I'm going to go out, have a good time, interact with my friends, and do what young people just like to do, that it's going to influence me. Like, people don't have influence over me. I was raised better than that. I'm the influencer. People don't influence me to do shit. Like, I remember even I asked my mom, how can you be there and then you're worried that those people are going to make, and my son told me that recently as well. When I told him, those people are drinking alcohol, they're doing drugs, and he looked at me and he said, so you think that those people are the ones going to influence me? You know, when would be, and then my mom would literally go to the neighbors and say, your daughter is influencing my child into bad behavior.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm like, Mom, how can you degrade me like that? How can you belittle me like that? That I am the follower.
I can't control
You think
myself.
I can't control myself? Am I an
myself?
animal? Am I a wild animal?
Yes.
I can't decide for myself. And there's someone there. I'm usually, Mommy, I was born to lead. They follow me. I influence, not the other way around. I can't be influenced. By what?
I love it. Speak.
So it's just having the belief and knowing that, Pumla, you know your own path. You just keep taking your path. And yes, there are going to be places where it's not that what your path is the right path. There will be places where you need to reset, go back and reassess, go back to the drawing board, and that's okay, because those times are going to come, and they've happened.
That is life.
And that's what life is. You learn, and then you realize, no, there was a hole. I fell into the hole, but I got out. Fuchs. I got out. I survived. I'm not going down that path again.
Now I know.
Now I know better. I navigate different.
I think the issue is when someone knows the hole is there and they're like, let me just see.
Yeah, let's see. You never know. You never know that someone will send me a rope. There are people who stay in holes with hope.
Yeah.
You never know the rope will come. Let me first see how it is here until the hole is warm. So they don't know how to get out.
And it's familiar.
The hole is familiar. That's the word.
Because you're like, I'm not too sure about this other path. At least I know there's a hole there.
At least I know there's a hole here, and the hole has a boundary. What's the worst that can happen to me here? I may get out and I find a lion. Let me be here. Let me be here. People, they like comfort. But sometimes you've got to learn to test, push some boundaries.
Yes, you
push
have
them.
to.
You have to. Otherwise, you live a life of mediocrity.
Is not for
half-baked. It's not for me. And for some people, they're okay with it, by the way.
Thank you.
By the way, I'm not saying that...
like what you said, that we're all different.
We are all different.
Our purpose is different. Sometimes it's like how everyone says you need to be a boss lady. You need to own your own business. If every single person owns their own business,
who will work for them?
It cannot work.
It cannot work. Exactly. When people ask me that, I'm like, Pumla, you can see these people who are employed. I'm like, so who is going to regulate your economy? They have to be employees. We are here. Somebody's got to be employed somewhere. Yes. You go and be an entrepreneur. Who is going to buy your things? If all of us are selling bags.
Thank you.
No, if all of us open hotels, who will sleep in the hotels now?
If no one is working
so not
there.
Everybody. You have to know your path.
Yeah.
And that's how life was. Not all of us are supposed to be at a certain level up there. And not everyone is supposed to be. And there are people who are down here, sometimes it is you who is making decisions that keep you there. But all of us, there's a whole spectrum.
Yes.
Actually, up down is not right. It's lateral. It's left to right.
I also feel like not everybody is supposed to lead.
No,
I know this is an unpopular opinion, but not
everybody. How is that an unpopular opinion?
You can be a leader in your space because you can lead in your home.
It can't be an unpopular opinion. That's a fact.
But you know
not everybody was born to lead. No, they are leaders and they are followers. There are people who are meant to lead. That's in the same breath.
People meant to follow. And
people meant to follow. And doesn't make anyone better than the other. It's just how the harmony of the world is.
Thank you.
End of story. Not everybody was meant to be rich. You're going to attend master classes and master classes and master classes and you're still poor. Because the harmony of the world dictates that there must be rich people, there must be middle average, and there must be poor people. There is never going to be a time in this world when all of us have made it.
True.
It can't happen. That's how the balance of the world is. Fortunately or unfortunately, that's just who. So leaders, I like to use this example of like geniuses. I believe in every generation there is a genius that someone has called upon belief system. Like and they revolutionize the world. Somebody wakes up, and the person who invented the Wright brothers, who invented planes.
Yes.
There is a genius within. Not all of us can be geniuses.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. You know, the first car, light, fire. There is always a genius. Social internet, Bill Gates. There is always in every generation. There all be those people. It's not possible. The world demands that there is going to be a sect of people that is meant to do a certain job, and the balance must be kept and continued. And nothing to do.
Yes, that's
Even
how
those
it
things
is.
of saying there are people even who can't lead themselves, and they are not intended to lead them. There are people who just cannot lead anything.
Yes. They can't make decisions.
They can't make decisions.
They're always asking somebody else to tell them what to do.
And if those
And
people
that's
try to
okay.
lead, where would we be as a world?
Yeah.
Where would we be?
Confusion.
Again, it doesn't make anyone better than the other. We are all human beings. We just need to understand what our purpose in this world is and just follow through and not try to be like other people. There are people who are struggling in this life and saying life is not easy, life is hard.
Yes.
Because they are positioning themselves in places they're not supposed to be in.
And they are looking at other people.
They are looking at other
Instead
people.
of looking inward.
Exactly. Someone calls you and says, "Hey, Crystal, you have this podcast." Not everybody is meant to have a podcast. And just because you see somebody else doing it, you can try it. Because maybe you're trying. That's how life is. You want to try. It's okay. But if you think that it's difficult and that it's hard, release it. It's not for you. Then you call Crystal, you're disturbing her all the time. Can you mentor me? Can you help me and give me guidance? How can I do something? I'll give you. Me, if you call me, I'll give you everything you need to. But if 2, 3, 4, 5 months later, you're still on my, like maybe this is not the life meant for you.
Because you get the
Choose
point
another
where
path.
you need to do the work.
You
That's
need
it.
to do
There's
the
no
work.
other way.
Exactly.
Either you're doing the work or you're talking
Exactly.
about it.
Then no. You can't be there. Then you have 5 views, day in, day out. Then you keep calling Crystal. How come for you have 10K views? How do you do it? Then Crystal gives you guidance. Then you try maybe to implement. It's not working. Sometimes release. Life is not hard.
Yeah.
Life is easy.
100%.
If you go in the path that was meant for you, life happens for you.
That is so true. Huh?
Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for us. So if you just have to understand, and what you said is exactly what it is. It comes with, you have to have self-awareness and self-acceptance. Just accept who you are.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And move. And just move like that. Things will... Anyway, again,
will
that's how I live
happen.
my life. Because for you can decide to take that approach and you told me that.
No, I like what you said, that you see, there has to be a balance.
There has to be balance.
Even when
in
you
this
look
world.
at an anthill and that community, you have the workers, there's a balance. They are not all the queen. There's one queen.
We can't all be queens. We can't all be boss babes. Who will serve the queen? There'll always be someone who has to serve the queen.
True.
And maybe that's your job.
And that's
And what's wrong with that? It's okay.
I like that. I like that you said it doesn't make you better. It
No.
doesn't mean one is better
We're
than the
all
other.
human beings. We're all the same. The only people who we're not the same with are thieves, rapists, murderers. Those ones are the ones who we're not the same as, maybe. But everybody else, we're human beings.
Yeah, true.
And we're all just living this world. And we're all going to none of us getting out alive anyway. So,
In terms of you got onto the camera, in front of the camera,
Yeah.
and it happened naturally. The timing was right, but also you allowed that side of yourself to now come out. Tell me about PPJ, the podcast. Because that's a bit spicy, yeah? It's a bit spicy. How's it going?
PPJ is home. PPJ is home. Because as you know, when I was on Bumplav,
Yeah.
Bumplav was limiting.
Okay.
Because we were talking about motherhood and
Yes.
womanhood.
Yes.
And you have to be careful when you're speaking about these things.
Yes.
Because you have audiences listening to you and they're really trying to learn. The point about Bump Love, ideally, I used to do a lot of research, again, because I'm structured.
Yes.
Because the point was really impact. I felt like I was born to be here. When you're in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
That it's just a feeling of ease. And when I would disseminate information and things that I had known and share my experiences, it felt so natural. I remember even when I was younger, people used to call it oversharing now. People used to say, but you just live your life like that. You just share, you just talk about yourself, you just say anything you want. And I was like, my friend, now it's making me money. Yeah, now it's making me money, which was not the intention.
Yes.
The real intention was I was free. I felt free when I was in front of the camera, and I felt like I was doing a service to other people, especially because I know for a fact that there are traits about me that come from privilege. Privilege of how I was raised, privilege of my upbringing, and these are things that you will never find anywhere else because you were not raised the way I was raised. So there are traits and qualities about me that come from nothing else but by the privilege of my background.
Okay.
So I have always felt that I have a great responsibility, that some of these things the world gave me, I didn't work for. So why aren't you giving back? Why aren't you putting yourself in a place where you can share this information? It was given to you for free.
Yeah.
So why don't you make it make it accessible for those who don't have the privilege to get it from anywhere else? So that was the mission then. So Bump Lab was too highly structured and limiting.
You had to be very careful.
You had to be careful and you had to be very responsible in your delivery.
Yeah.
But when I'm sharing in PPJ has nothing to do with impact. It's just inviting you into my life, into our life as three smart people who are not just that one person. We are all corporately employed.
Yes.
Because most of these podcasts and most people sitting on these couches are not really employed, have that 8 to 5 and structure like everybody else does.
True.
So it's just us showing people that you don't have to be just the one thing.
Yeah.
You can live your life out loud and do you and just be you and share in your experiences and just give people a laugh. Not every time have
Yes,
impact.
not always serious.
Not always serious.
Yeah.
Sometimes talk and make people laugh.
Yeah,
Say
talk about
things
the
that are
awkward things
talk about
and
the awkward
comfortable
things and comfortable things. And let people just live your show. Not necessarily having learned something, but feeling good. Just content. So I really love PPJ, especially because you see, in the different spaces I have been in, we've been different, really, really different.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of navigating that dynamic
Okay.
of I'm in your space, you're in my space. How do we find a balance, compromise? With PPJ, yeah, we are different, but we are the same. We literally are the same. Like, it's not that, like how in marriages, people can say, but if you don't tell me, how will I know? Like, you have to voice, communicate, use your words.
Yes.
My PPJ environment, we are the same in that regard. I know what disturbs you. You know what, we are affected by the same thing.
Okay.
We must more or less been raised the same way. We've gone to the same traditional schools. Our thought processes, our minds think are aligned.
Yes.
There's a homogeneity.
What I see when I watch the podcast is you are all outspoken and opinionated. But it is fine.
And that's
You are
fine.
in a space where you're perfectly comfortable
Exactly.
to be yourselves.
I am myself.
And then the conversation that
time.
springs from there
Yeah.
is so entertaining.
And that's
You're doing a
exactly
great
how we
job.
talk. We don't censor our conversation. That's exactly how we talk, even when we're together. So again, it's natural.
Yes.
It's
You're not
natural.
forcing it.
It's not forced. It's not like I'm not thinking it through in my head. As many times as I've had to when I'm doing responsible communication or responsible delivery. Like, I have to think through many times before I...
What has surprised you about this space that you're in now that you can just be and say and share?
It's damn freeing. It's just damn freeing.
Do you feel like in a way it's therapy for you as well?
I guess so. You could say that. I don't know, is it?
Do you feel you're giving other people permission?
I know I am. I know for a fact that I'm subconsciously giving other people permission to be those versions of themselves, to explore versions of themselves that either they held back or they were not allowed to reveal.
Yeah.
So that I know for sure. I don't think, surprising with this space, I think is, I always knew, as I said, I knew I was meant to be the scene. I'm the scene. What has always shocked me about this space is, even if I don't doubt my knowledge or what I know, it's surprising that people actually learn. People actually, to a much bigger degree, like when I come out and I'm showing my reconstruction and remodeling,
Yes.
those comments that come are not the ones that I'm expecting. In magnitude, like, it's a lot of oh wow, oh, is that so? A lot of love and appreciation. That for me is constantly surprising, because Crystal, as I said, I'm not getting out of a box. I'm literally living my life. I'm just letting you in.
Yeah, to see.
So to see people say, oh wow, ooh, is shocking to me. Me, I thought we were just here sharing experiences half the time.
It's so important because you see too many people, social media, are showing only the best
of themselves.
The curated
I get you.
moments and
I get
things.
you.
And they forget that sometimes it's important to just, this is who I am. This is
that's it. That's it. But also, I have a mixed feeling about that sometimes. I like the fact that, yes, you can show your full self, but no one ever shows their full self.
No, of course,
Nobody.
every person has to protect.
Yeah, you have to protect yourself, my dear.
Especially now that
you
you're
have to protect
in the
yourself.
public eye.
Yeah, you've got to protect yourself. I feel like on social media, people curate. That's where the creatives come in. I literally feel like they curate content for you to see that can be misleading because that's not really their life.
Yeah.
So me, when I'm just saying I'm letting you into I was going to behave like this anyway. I'm not saying that. I'm showing you
not the
all my whole
whole
life,
love.
no. And I'm not showing you. I'm not going to look for my bad parts and also reveal them to you. I'm just saying that I'm going to show this part of my life in public because I think someone needs to see this.
But you see, other people will say it's not the glamorous. It's not the
that's true.
No,
but that's really curated for people to. You can show people a life of you. You can force people to think that you live a certain way.
Yeah.
It's you who decides what people say. It's you who decides. And I feel like that's where that creativity comes in that I really don't have. If I had it, possibly I would be doing the same. But I don't have the creativity of thinking out of, now how can there are times I can look at people's posts and reels.
And you're like, wow.
Wow.
It's too much work.
It looks like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. But maybe for some people it comes.
The product, wow. I'm like,
Naturally.
wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's but I can see literally that's not your life. It's literally created for other people to see a certain kind of life and hang in there. And I feel sometimes it can be a little bit
There's a trend I
misleading.
have seen. This is an example for me, as I'm just like, There's a trend I've seen where parents create apartments for their children in their bedrooms. So it's like, oh, my child has their own apartment and they pay rent, but they pay rent out of their allowance and they take care of their own. I'm just like, what are you doing?
It's a trend?
Yes,
I
it's a
haven't
trend.
seen
I've
that.
seen a few videos and I'm just like, this is an example of doing too much.
Too much.
Maybe the very first person who did it, they did it for fun.
Yeah, that's the
But
thing.
then more and more people are picking up
That's
on
the
it.
thing.
And I'm like,
There's
so your
always
child is
somebody
living in
just
their
doing
bedroom in
it.
your house, but it is their own apartment.
Apartment.
And I'm like, make it make sense.
That's so strange.
But you see, those are the things you see. And then someone out there probably thinks, oh, this is the way to go. I'm going to implement this in my
home, in my space. Utomera. Hey.
Anyway.
Don't matter coping people. Yeah, but PPJ, my online presence. Yeah, that for me. That's like the surprising beat. It's
Yeah.
just that. Yeah, I'm showing of myself. I'm living my life, and people seem to be picking.
Yeah.
Yeah, people
There's
seem to
an
be
impact.
picking. Yeah, there's always, and you see how I also protect myself. I know the platforms that are bad mannered.
Yes.
I know that problematic platforms. I do take criticism really well and feedback as well for growth. But I'm also really good at cutting out white noise. I can tell from afar.
Yes,
what
yes.
I feel like there are people who are just mean to be mean.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely.
And then there are people who are not trying to be mean, but maybe they don't know how to deliver. You know, like why
I
one
find
of the
that
things,
is a TikTok.
maybe that's more.
You see, TikTok has a very interesting.
I've been told.
I'm on TikTok now, and it's very
I'm not on
interesting.
TikTok.
I'm just like,
But
what's
was
going
it
on?
always like that though?
I don't know.
I thought TikTok was the happy place. There's a point until someone, I don't have TikTok, but until someone started showing me comments, like someone
I'll
posts,
be honest, I
cross-post.
just really joined recently and started being active. But there are comments you see, and you're like,
You post your reel in Instagram
Why?
and the same in TikTok, and the comment section is completely different. Someone showed me a mirror of something, you know, they do that cross-posting and I couldn't believe it. I honestly thought, I'm not on TikTok. I thought TikTok was a happy place. And the reason I didn't go on TikTok was not because of that. It was more because I had been told that it's really highly addictive.
yes.
So I had decided,
So you
maybe I
decided not to go there.
let me not go on TikTok.
No.
I don't know if I can guard myself and protect myself. Already I have Instagram where I find myself scrolling. Let me not. But now when they showed me this thing, I was like, I can't go there.
That's been one of the most
can't
surprising
go there.
things for me. I'm just like, there are comments, and you're like, but why?
Twitter, dustbin, dustbin. I tell you, and it's not because, like you see on Instagram, someone will even try and they'll give you feedback. Sometimes they'll even come in your DM and say, "Oh, this, that." And I'm like, okay, yeah, that maybe that sounds good. That's all right.
Yeah.
But usually it's just like praise and kindness
Yes,
and affection.
yes,
and
yes.
appreciation. It's a happy. Instagram's like a happy place
Yes,
there.
it is. I love it.
It seems comfortable, but I find
The
people,
trolls.
the trolls. Me, I can't go to troll spaces. I can't. I don't have the capacity to now. Now you've trolled. Now what? Now what can we do?
That's the thing. You're just like, okay.
And I always ask myself, would you have said that to me face to face?
No.
If the
But you
answer
see
is
people
no,
empowered.
that's why I
empowered
can't be in a
that way.
space where people cannot talk to you the same way they would have talked to you in person. What are we doing? Now we're in what are we doing?
Yeah.
I don't have the capacity. I wasn't raised. I don't have the capacity to go low. You see, there are places where I see people taking on those people and they go low and low and go low.
Yes.
That Michelle Obama Izano says, when people go low, go high.
High.
Me, I don't.
100%.
I reach a place. I'm not going high because I'm above. I'm being the
But
better
you're
person.
just choosing what will affect you. And
I
take your
don't know.
time.
I don't have the capacity to go low. I don't have the capacity to play with pigs. I don't have the training. Have you ever seen a lioness rolling in mud?
No.
They'll die if they dare go there. So I know for a fact that there are spaces I cannot go into. Not because I am better than other people, but because if I enter their mud, I'll die. It's self-crucifying. I don't know how to behave in those places. No one has
takes you back
trained me.
to- you
No
know
one
what
has
is
given
for
me the
you.
class. I know what is for me. Because there are literally people, when that lady was showing me the reel, that TikTok, I was like, eh? And then you see 28 replies. And people are coming for each other's jugulars.
They are fighting.
They don't know each other.
You're like, what's going
They
on?
don't know each other. That's the part. I'm like, what? How?
Yeah.
So me, I know the platforms, I know the places.
No, that for me has
know
been
where the
quite
grass is.
eye-opening. I'm seeing another side of us as Ugandans, which I had not seen before.
I was like,
Okay.
Now even if there are some platforms, I'm just like, so I know my spaces. I have, even like when people invite me to speak and talk, I know where to.
Yeah.
I know
You're
where
careful.
to tap in. I'm a little
In a
careful.
way.
Yeah.
Okay, we're wrapping up. I know we have
Okay.
to wrap up.
Yeah.
The Bank of Uganda podcast, though, is now where it is structured. The intention is very clear, and you're doing that for work.
Yes.
So when you have those two different spaces, it's quite interesting
Yeah.
to see you like, this is serious, Pumla.
Yeah. And a lot of people have got that feedback and they're like, Pumla, when I watch the Connects podcast, you're a different person.
No, but
I'm like, yeah.
but they're different
I'm made
sides
up of
to you.
different sides, you know. I'm not linear. I'm not a square.
Yeah.
I'm not just there like you know. I have different faces. I have different sides of me
Yes.
that I'm also just exploring.
Yeah.
And depending on the part you see, there's a part that you're going to see that will be for you, and a part that may not be for you, and that's all right. Just lean into the one that's for you. Don't tie.
No, I learn a lot from it, though. I find it so.
You know, there are people who just follow people. I tell you, don't follow Joshua, because Joshua, there are parts of Joshua that are not for you. So don't just follow Joshua blindly. Find out what is it about Joshua that you like.
Yeah.
Lean into that. The other parts, because they'll do something and then you say, I was so disappointed in Pumla.
There it is.
Aren't you disappointed? How can you be disappointed in me? It's because you leaned into the side that was not for you. So now you found my content disappointing. Go, I don't expect this from you. Are you my
this
mother?
is not what I'm used to.
Yeah, you know, like. So the BOU Connects, by the way, we have a BOU Connects podcast. It's monthly. And from now, that one is for a reason entirely. You see, now, this is another thing. You introduced me as a team lead economist, which I am.
Yes.
But I'm not really practicing so much anymore.
Okay.
Bank of Uganda Bank of Uganda realized that people don't really understand what we do. And this realization came during COVID.
True. It's an assumption that people knew.
Yes. We thought that we're the central bank. They know, they literally know what we do. And we learned during COVID that it was important to establish a relationship with your stakeholders. Because if you work in isolation, you forget that for your policies to make sense to people, they must understand them and they must trust you. You must build a trust in them. But you can't build a trust when you're here. And they are here.
Yeah, you're completely disjointed.
You're completely disjointed, you're disconnected. So the now governor, when he came, he was a deputy governor. He decided to empower the communications team. And what he did, because communicators they're communicators. They are great at PR, marketing, they speak. But the trouble we had at the bank at the time was that the communicators were not really experts in the technical fields of what we do.
Yeah.
So what they decided to do was to get people from the technical fields who could also express themselves and put them in the communications department.
All right.
Now, there was a period there of transition where, again, because these are technical experts, we assume that when I tell you inflation, core inflation, you understand what I'm saying. That when I say GDP, because the words roll off my tongue easily. I forget.
But you have to learn to speak layman
Now I had to learn to speak layman language. So they decided to get a team of the communications and then this team of the technical experts and put them together. So that now the technical experts are educating the communicators and the communicators are teaching the technical experts how to speak.
Yeah.
So I was then moved then to the communications department as an economist.
Yes.
Which is now where I have again found my voice. I really loved that, and data analyst. I'm an analyst. I loved data. I loved analyzing data. But when I started to speak, and you know, it wasn't now camera, it was, we would go to schools, we would go to places, we would go to have these town hall workshops. You would go and meet people in the villages and speak to them about what the central bank does. And you can see the thirst for knowledge. And you can literally see that people didn't know shit.
No, they did not
and
know
it's
anything.
not their fault. It's you. You were not telling them what you were doing. You were not communicating. And when you did communicate, it wasn't in the language they understood. So now I literally went through like a year of learning how to break down the language, explain. And this, you had to go and speak out, and would go with this team of communicators. Then they would come, they would give you back feedback. So when I started to learn how the impact of just speaking to people was, and explaining to them and them understanding, oh, so that's what you do, and this is what you expect of me when you do this. You're talking about something like the central bank rate. What is it? I'm telling you, it's a rate. If I tell you that I'm reducing this rate, it means I am making your money cheaper.
Yeah.
So now I'm communicating to you that now you can go and borrow. But if you see me raising this interest rate, it means that now it's too expensive to borrow. You in your right mind, why are you going to borrow? And yet it's going to be very expensive for you to make the repayments. It means wait.
Yeah.
So I started to see that people were really
Because you're
starting to
empowering them
we're
with information.
empowering them with information, and information that they deserve, they just didn't have access to.
True.
They literally deserve to have that information for free. It is our mandate as the central bank. So we are civil servants.
Yes.
We work for the people.
Yes.
Then I decided last year, and you know Bank of Ghana is we're conservative.
Yes, yes.
So last year I decided, why don't we start a podcast? And I went ready for resistance.
Oh,
Because we are conservative.
okay.
I was like, will they allow us to really be out there in the public and talking and just have and invest in this? But I went, I spoke to my director. He didn't even
He said yes, 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 yes.
not even yes. He said, this is something we should have started a long time ago.
I love that. And this is you evolving more, right?
Yes, this is now me evolving more. Now taking my economics and merging it, and that's where that structure meets creativity comes in. Like blending my worlds,
Yes.
literally blending my world. The things I love. I love economics. I can speak economics from Monday to Sunday and just explaining to people how the world works and how it affects them and what the part you're playing as an individual, the part you're playing as an institution, the part you're playing as a business, the part you're playing as an economy, the part you're playing in government, and just to see people start to understand and say, oh, wow. And now I can do it in
The
front
lights are
of a
coming
camera.
on. Yes.
Yeah.
But I love to see it. I love to see it.
So I was really, the institution at large, they were so happy for us to do it. And when I started, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, convince people to come again because we are conservative. I don't know if I'm going to convince. So you literally had to go down and tell them, I'll share with you the talking points, but because you're the subject matter expert, I'll share with you talking points, but we have to have a discussion about what it is that people would like to know what is, because I'm not a technical expert in all these areas of central banking. I am an expert in just a few.
Yes, yes.
So when I started to approach my colleagues, everybody was so happy to just come. Like it was so easy. And then you don't have to hustle. Everything is done at the bank. You don't have to now call and say, now, Pumla, you're on your way. Are you coming? When you're hosting people like you, Crystal, you don't know if I'm coming, God knows. But now I know they are there. They're in the bank. I know where to find them. They are coming. It's not my expense. Production is not my expense. The bank is paying for production. Like I'm just now showing
before,
that.
but things just flow naturally.
Things just flow naturally. And I was just so happy that they took it on. And you see, again, it comes from the fact that my journey didn't just start. Someone saw something in me. As I said before, when Manuela approached me, she saw something in me. And I will always be appreciative of that. And either way, and you see, this is how life works. Someone, even if it wasn't her, it would have happened. This was my story.
Yes.
It was my story. I'm the protagonist of my own story.
Yes,
I'm the architect. I'm the one who decides. So even if I could have been somewhere else, it could have been you to say, Pumla, it could have been anyone to decide and say, and to take me out of my shell. And the choice would have been mine always to say yes or no. And the fact that I said yes is what fueled the trajectory of my life path to where I am now.
And now you are now.
I'm so happy. I was telling you earlier, I sometimes struggle with the BOE Connect podcast because I'm a talker.
Yes.
I don't do great at listening. So now I find myself having to interview people and listening to them talk.
But you see, that is you now also building another skill.
Actually,
Because
that's
listening,
true. That's true. That's
being a
true.
good listener is
that's
actually
true.
a skill.
I agree. That's true. It is a skill. Actually, I think it's a superpower. To just be there and listen to someone talking. Me, I switch off. I switch off and I'm just waiting. When am I next talking? So I'm just, so I agree now. I think it's now helping me now sharpen that skill because you never know what I'll need it for later in life. Actually, it's a superpower. So I think I'm learning. Someone says something, I have to keep talking to myself. Leave them to talk, leave them to talk. Don't jump in. I know you know the things, but leave them to talk.
Yeah.
And then they talk and I listen and I'm like, oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, but it's for that's different because I'm on the host side. I'm used to being on the guests, on the
Yes.
host. I'm on the side of just hosting and asking and engaging. But it's great. It's great.
going
and
well.
it's going really well. And it's a service. That one for sure is just a service. I decided that I'll give of myself. It's a service above self affair. It is. I think this is right, and it's also aligned with the central bank's mandate in trying to instill a certain kind of trust and confidence, and also maintain a good image and reputation of the central bank amongst Ugandans.
Yes.
Because for again our policies to work, people must understand what we are doing
Yes, and align with you.
and align.
Because if there's
and
resistance,
respond.
it's a problem and
Exactly.
it affects everyone.
It affects everybody. And then now that you find yourselves even paying more money to correct those problems even further. So
true,
yeah,
true.
I'm really enjoying my space where I am now. Everything seems to be lining up as it should have. The story is being told. It's making sense. It's making sense.
I love to see it. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. And you have a lovely podcast. This is really, really lovely.
Oh.
It's really nice. And I like the open air.
Yeah.
I like
Me too.
I like the open air.
I'm always looking for light, natural light. Let's be outside.
Now imagine you. Now me of my skin color. I don't know. I need. You, it's not a need. Me, I need the natural light because will they see me? They won't see me.
No
So
comment.
I appreciate.
Thank you, Pumla.
Thank you so much.
This was so
Crystal.
lovely.
Yeah. Oh, it's always nice.
Yeah.
Always nice.
Look forward to seeing you again.
For sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm just down the road.
But can I just come and visit? I've come to see Pumla. I don't know.
These are small issues. Small issues.
We'll sort them out.
Small issues.
Well, thank you again and continue to be blessed. That's
Thank
blessed.